Okay, I'm at 3091 Hickory Lane in Mason, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. The access point is the floor clean out here. Now, there is a little bit of line behind this underground, but it's the access is it's not real accessible, and so I mentioned that because this does not have a two-way clean out. As we look down in it, it will force us to go out towards the street. It's called a sweep, and so just wanted to say that, you know, that it's only about 10 feet of pipe that we're going to be unable to inspect, and most of the issues are on the exterior that we find anyway. This is all embedded in concrete, and so we should be pretty good, especially with the pipe material being PVC. Looks like there's some grease buildup in here. This may actually be cast iron. I did see a lot of everything above ground was PVC, so this being cast iron is pretty strange. So it must have been, the cast iron must have been replaced with PVC since the house was built, and so continue pushing out, and I don't know, there's something flowing through here now, so that may be. Looks kind of weird because it doesn't, I really can't believe that, I don't know if this is cast iron or not, or if it just has a lot of coating on it. It looks like cast iron. It just looks really weird. It's wide open. Maybe it's because the house is new enough where it's really difficult to tell. There's not a whole lot of degradation to the pipe. I'm going to try to push out as far as I can. We'll get a better look on the way back. It's kind of odd to have cast iron running all the way out to the street, but there's also some hot water running through the line right now, and so we may have to, you can see that the steam is kind of obstructing the view a little bit. And then as we get out, it gets pretty clear. So this should be clay. It looks like we've already made it to the main. I'm going to go outside and check. But this just has a lot of buildup on it, which is odd if this is cast iron all the way out. And that's what I was mentioning earlier, is that they only did this for a very short period of time where they put cast iron all the way out. Cast iron it's not a bad material, but it does rust. And so there's never really an indication of how much life is left in it as far as pipe thickness. The walls of the pipe, you don't know whether they're thick or thin. You can just look for functionality and see what kind of shape the line is and make sure that it's functioning properly and doesn't have any holes or anything that of any major concern, and just making sure that it is, you know, handling the water amount that needs to, and also that doesn't have any buildup of solids or anything that would cause any kind of backups or anything. Cast iron is also, it's a lot more prevalent. Soft clogs are a lot more prevalent in cast iron, just because of how rough the inside of the pipe is. You could have, you know, excess toilet paper and wet wipes are a big problem. Mainly the wet wipes, because they don't break down like toilet paper does. You know, toilet paper will disintegrate, and once it's been wet long enough, it breaks down into nothing and continues on. The wet wipes don't do that, and so if they get caught, sometimes they cause, like I said, they call them soft clogs. It's basically a clog that's easily removed, but you know, can build up in the line. Just the paper and stuff can build up behind something that gets caught like a wet wipe that won't disintegrate. But at any rate, I'm going to pause the video here. We're going to wait for the water to kind of dissipate a little bit and make sure that we can see a little bit better before we continue. Alright, so we made sure that there shouldn't be any more water coming through for a minute. And we'll take a look at this. Like I said, it is cast iron. And so, I'll kind of show you the buildup. And so, it is open, but it is pretty common to have like some buildup on the inside of the pipe like this. You'll have the white stuff is grease from either the kitchen usually, whether you pour it down there or not. It's just it still basically gets in along with the liquid fabric softener. Also has like an oily base that does the same thing. Kind of leaves a white haze on it. But the pipe looks like it is in good shape as far as it's keeping its shape. You will find stuff like this, like I said, build up junk on the rough pipe. There are options to descale, but there's different plumbers have different opinions on that, just due to the possibility of damage if you don't know how thick the pipe walls are, and you run like a chain through it to knock off all the rust. Sometimes it can knock a hole in the pipe, so it's not always you get, like I said, different plumbers have different feelings on that. But this doesn't look like it. This looks like it's open and flowing. There are also options to, you could have it descaled and lined, but those are just, I'm just putting that out there if there are ever any issues with the line. And right now I don't see any holes or structural damage. But with cast iron, obviously the lifespan is not indefinite because it does rust. I think roughly they call for about 75 years or so is what they said, but a lot of the stuff lasts a pretty long time. It's just toilet paper on the sides there. But so you can see like the rust hanging off. It can get pretty ugly, but as long as it's still functioning properly, that's what you're looking for. And we will be testing all the fixtures also to make sure that they're all flowing. So you can see kind of the channeling that goes on. Stuff builds up on the side, and the main channel is where the water flows. But a lot of that does have to do with the roughness of the pipe. It's just, the nature of the material. It does kind of catch, it's like sandpaper. So stuff builds up a little bit differently on this than it does other materials like clay and PVC. So this looks pretty normal. So it is all open and flowing at time of inspection. The interior pipe looks like ABS actually, instead of cast iron. And as soon as we got outside, it switches to cast iron. You can see as it switches over right there. It's a pretty, it's a pretty strange combo. But if this house was built at a time when they were probably the 70s, when they were switching over materials to PVC, and so the exterior being cast iron, it was a pretty limited amount of time that they used cast iron outside. But everything here is functioning properly, and it's a short distance to the main, so that's always good. And the line is open and flowing at time of inspection. No structural damage. And so as long as you keep away and make sure you're only flushing, toilet paper and things that are supposed to go down the toilet, then you should be fine. Just like I mentioned earlier, watch out for the large amounts of toilet paper, and wet wipes are the biggest culprit of backup. So just make sure if you're going to use them, throw them in the trash. Don't throw them in the toilet. No matter if they say flushable, they shouldn't be. So again, everything looked good structurally. It's open and flowing, so that'll end the inspection at 3091 Hickory Lane in Mason, Ohio.